independent auditing system. So as small designers, we can't afford, like, we're not like big guys, so we're not like Cotton On or, like Country Road or something that have their own auditors that they can like, because it costs, it takes a lot of resources to do that. So when you buy from something that's already accredited, that they have, it's a global company that send auditors out and they get a certificate, and that's where you can be confident that it is 100% organic, of GOTS organic. So anything you find with that logo, I mean, it's been audited by them. So able to educate the customer. So it's just about explaining if a price is slightly higher, the reflection, that's what's behind it. Yeah,
being transparent with each of those, I guess the reasons why things might be priced a little higher, and also I guess educating them so they can understand why they need to, I guess, think about sustainability in a different way. Like, we've been kind of fed the fast fashion model for so long that I think for a lot of people a t-shirt should cost $15, and it shouldn't. And while I understand that for a lot of people, spending money on clothing is a privilege, it is also just understanding that paying more for quality should translate to a product that lasts you a lot longer. So I make drawstring bags, so here's an example of one. It is not a pretty process collecting tents from festivals. I'm not gonna gloss it up. I find tents in all kinds of conditions. I see tents that haven't even been removed from the bag. I see tents that have everything from sleepwear, inflatable mattresses, pillows. It's like sometimes I'm thinking, like, is someone still in here? It's scary actually. It's been a real eye-opener to see the volume of festival waste grow year on year. I know not all festivals experience waste at this scale, but there are a lot that do. And so unfortunately, while some of the tents go to charities, tents aren't a big item that charities are looking for, unfortunately. And so there's just a lot of waste that gets picked up from the festival and delivered straight to land. Synthetics and landfill operate very differently than natural fibers. Natural fibers, they break down over time because it's a natural fiber. Whereas synthetics, it's essentially plastic, and it takes chemicals to break it down, and as it breaks down, it releases gas within the landfill, which is methane. So I guess the long story short is that let's keep synthetic textiles out of landfill, which is kind of the mission Etu's on, which is it's an interesting
How did Etu start? Like, well, how was there a particular...
How was it birthed? Good question. So Etu's birth was pretty graceful. So I am a textile designer. I moved from New Zealand to Melbourne to study textile design at RMIT. I did the degree, and straight from uni, I started working for Country Road. So I feel like I grew up at Country Road. I spent 5 years there as a senior designer. I worked across all departments. We had a team of 3 textile designers, freelancers. It was a very exciting time, and it was I was really happy to be working for a big brand. But I got really involved in lots of different areas of the business. So I loved, at Country Road, we had, everyone was very passionate about the product and quality. And we had Q&A teams. I was on the phone to, factories in Bangladesh and India, constantly trying to understand how they cut the garments on the prints that I was giving them so that we could try and reduce wastage. Sometimes they would send me diagrams of like how they were cutting the garment, and it's like, a dress pattern, and then like in another 2 meters, another dress pattern. So we spent a lot of time, trying to like figure out how to place patterns in a way that was like eliminating wastage. And while we never got to creating zero waste. It was essentially, we were improving the fabric yield, which is when you can like get the most out of it. So yeah, my time at Country Road was, it was great. From there, I hopped around a few other big retailers, Spencer, London, and my last big role was as trend forecaster of women's wear at Cotton On, and my role there was to research global trends impacting the customer mindset. So we had a trend team that looked after product direction. So they would say, it's going to be, canary yellow with a blues on sleeve. I was more focused around, I guess what was impacting our girls. So, she had a growing appetite for concerns around sustainability. She's, really tech savvy, and she wants more tech experiences in store. So it was an interesting time at Cotton On. I think that my dream up until then had been to be more influential, try and focus on sustainability while working for one of those giant corporates. And unfortunately, maybe they just weren't ready to change. I think they felt like sustainability was going to be a trend. I kind of, I don't see sustainability as a trend. Like it is, it's one of the big crises of our time. We need to come up with solutions to solve it or slow it. So I moved on. I moved on from the world of fast fashion, and I ended up actually retraining. And so Etu was born in that kind of in-between time. And, some might be asking, where's your website? Why aren't you selling product? It's a good question. I think when you're working with waste, it's really time consuming. No one talks about that, but it is. I'm not dealing with fabric on the roll. I'm dealing with tents that need to be cleaned, prepared, every pattern piece laid on it considered. So it's coming together. It's, it's all sort of, there's a few moving parts, and I'm slowly, bringing it all together. So I do hope to have that product out there live soon.
Yeah, for sure. And why did you choose the product to be a bag?
Because I think that, I think with sustainable, when you're dealing with waste, I think I believe people may be a little bit hesitant about wearing, textiles that essentially trash on the body. And so I guess I just wanted to start with bags because it's like a gentle, it's a way I can kind of like educate consumers, but also that, also that idea that bags are seasonless. You need a bag in summer for the beach, you need a bag in winter for your baguette. There's no seasonality with bags. And I think that one thing I've learned working for Cotton On, Country Road and M&S is, this idea of trend. Like, I'm challenged by that word because it's a made up word that essentially means that there's this new trend and you need it. But it's essentially, it's just a bit of a made up construct. So bags to me are seasonless, they're trendless. Who doesn't wake up in the morning and say, I just really want a good bag? I know, like I do,
And I feel like, the fabric properties of the tent, they're so strong, so that's like perfect for carrying.
These bags, like they get all the properties of the tent. So this bag here, it's the bucket bag shape, so it's really it's quite big. It's been spliced with a the body's the gazebo, and the trim there, that's another tent. That tent was in a really bad way. There were lots of marks on it, but I just was like, how can we still use it? So we cut it down, trimmed it down really thinly, and we just fed it through the bind foot so that I was still able to get the mileage out of it. So this bag's come up really well. I'm quite happy with all of them, but that's sort of.
I know, and for those who don't know, to cut that down into that beautiful binding is an extra, that's definitely an extra process in production, and that's what gives it a beautiful finish. So,
exactly. Yeah, cutting it down. That's right. That sort of, and that's really interesting when it comes to dealing with recycled fabrics. Is that it's like a common knowledge that when we're repurposing waste fabric, it's often the product, its afterlife product is often inferior to the first product it was. So in circular design, you might have a beautiful cotton dresses, and its afterlife, it's essentially, it gets shredded and it's used as mattress insulation. I mean, this is a bit of a wild example, but it's never, when it's hard to elevate recycled fabric, and so that's again why I think bags are quite a good vehicle, because it's we can apply that trim detail, some interesting rope details, and and it seems to give the product like a more premium feel than a tent.
Yeah, and your production's done in Melbourne?
It's all done in Melbourne, so I work with two amazing female makers, Cherry Collins and Simone. And it's really important to me that I support the local female talent. So I've known both those ladies for a long time, and they're passionate about sustainability. And they're incredibly talented pattern makers. So every bag I just get back, I'm like, wow, like that is beautiful.
Yeah.